Hello and welcome. This is Dr. Mark Demister from the Alive Chiropractic Center. I want to thank you for tuning in tonight to listen to our presentation on God's design for healthcare, simple, natural, and powerful. This is one of my favorite presentations to do. One, because it's not complicated to understand. It's a very simple and easy to follow presentation. And number two, it's about natural healthcare. And number three, how powerful natural healthcare can be. A little bit about myself and my lovely wife, Katie. We practiced together. Both of us graduated from Life Chiropractic College West, and we're both IUCCA chiropractors. We have been in practice since 2003, and we were in the Bay Area until 2008. Now we are in Littleton, have been here since 2009 to the present. A little bit about my wife and I's mission. We're a husband and wife team who are on a mission to help people with difficult and chronic health problems find hope and build trust. Now, this presentation is about building trust because many of the people that I have taken care of have lost their trust, lost hope, and wondering if whether or not they are ever going to get through or get better. Now, our bodies are designed to heal ourselves. Our Creator designed our bodies to do that. In the seminar, you will learn what can halt a true healing experience and what you can do to allow your body to function the way it is meant to. No more living life covering up symptoms. Time to get well. Now, first things first, we got to understand what disease is, and we're going to try to teach you a new way to think about disease. I think most people think of disease as something you have, something you caught, something that you've contracted. What I'd like you to do is think of disease as dysfunction, not something you have. Because disease really is a symptom of your body's inability to function the way it is meant to. In other words, your body is out of control. When your car is out of control, when anything is out of control, it doesn't work right. Something in your body is out of control, not allowing you to get better. And of course, health is function. Your body is in control. So in order for us to eliminate disease, we need to first focus on restoring function. Now, real quick, how long does it take for disease to develop in your body? A better question is, how long does it take for symptoms of a disease or dysfunction to develop in your body? Do you first experience symptoms when dysfunction first occurs, in the middle, or the end? If you guess from the middle to the end, then you're right. Most of the time, when our bodies first start to not work properly, we don't notice right away. In fact, it may take many years. For example, when do most people realize they have cancer? Most people don't know that they have cancer until the middle of the development of that cancer. Meaning that many years have gone by. People have gone 20, 30 years with cancer in their body and never knowing it. When do people realize they have a heart problem? A lot of people don't realize they have a heart problem until it's too late, until it's the end, maybe just before. Not a good time to find out that you have a heart problem. But a lot of times those symptoms do not show up until much later. So very important point, and I want you to remember this as time goes on. A little bit about my story. I grew up with breathing difficulty and chronic bronchitis. I was always sick, constantly taking antibiotics, and I was getting shots for everything. I had my first concussion when I was 12, BMXing. I had my second concussion when I was 15 in gymnastics, and third concussion at 21. Now, I didn't have any symptoms at the time. I just kind of shook it off, kind of rested, did what I needed to do. I felt fine. When I was 25, I started losing feeling in my hands and arms, constant pain. I had developed a C6, C7 disc herniation in my neck. It was putting pressure on the nerves and was not allowing me to feel things. I was losing strength. I couldn't sleep. Another thing that I started developing were these electrical kind of shooting pains up and down my spine. It felt like someone was taking some bare electrical wires and sticking them in my back, and they would just radiate up and down. Nobody knew what those were, and so we really didn't know what to do about it. Now, with the pain in my hands and my arms and my neck, I tried various forms of chiropractic, massage therapy, acupuncture with some relief. But it was quite temporary, but as time goes on, it kept getting worse. My wife convinced me that I should go to an upper cervical chiropractor, a guy who focuses just on the top two bones in my neck. At first, I was not open to it, but I finally did it because nothing else was working. Now, to be honest with you, the first 2 months I didn't feel anything, but the third, fourth, fifth month, little by little, it just started melting away. And to this day, it has been completely pain-free, no problems whatsoever. The point I want to make here is that initial injury could have happened when I was 12. Probably made it worse when I was 15 and 21. Now, these things can build up over time, but the point is that this didn't happen overnight or in one instance. So enough about my stories. Let's listen to some other people's stories about their experiences with upper cervical chiropractic and how they got well.
Maybe then they'll listen.
The pain.
What you have to say.
At school, sometimes kids do these posters and they put their hands in paint and they stick their hands on the poster. And she wrote this, it was Father's Day, Dear Dad, and of course they helped them write this stuff, but it was in painting. I really love you, I hope you get well. Two little hands. She knew I was sick. She didn't know why. And I didn't know why. Nobody knew why.
When we were first married, I couldn't touch Angela's face or run my fingers down her spine. I've always been very proud of how she handled all that pain.
It's just hard to even imagine, let alone even think you're going to live through it, because it's just pain. I mean, you ought to be able to take care of that. But trigeminal neuralgia is set to kill you.
When I got sick, and I might as well tell you that story right now. You asked me why I'm impassioned. I'm impassioned because I probably wouldn't be sitting in front of you today if it weren't for upper cervical. I literally got to a point in my life where I suffered so badly, and it's hard, I think, as a human being to say to yourself that if I got to live like this for 5 more years, I don't want to live.
Kevin Broom.
Shantria Harris.
Dr. Cliff Drury.
I was diagnosed with Meniere's disease in 5th grade.
I'm Lori DeGroat. I used to get migraines since I was 7.
Been practicing successfully for 18 years.
Edward Weller.
I had severe sciatic pain down my right leg.
Bobby Goodman.
And I've been diagnosed with chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia.
Growing up, I developed an irritable bowel.
Growing up as a child, I always was diagnosed with a lazy eye.
Melissa Barnett.
Had that for 7 years.
And I get really emotional about it.
Yeah, I suffer from migraines.
1976, I was in a head-on collision.
I had sciatic pain.
I couldn't get out of bed, could not walk.
And I suffered for many, many years.
Lower back pain.
Every time after I ate, I just have tremendous stomach pain.
It's hard. It's very, very hard because it's almost a hopeless feeling.
Every day worrying if you're going to make it through the day.
An intense, excruciating, burning pain.
I just have to lay down and turn out all the lights.
Had 2 doctors treat me, no success.
You tend to dictate your life around an illness.
When you grow up and you're blind in one eye, it's different. And
pain, numbness in my fingers and toes, legs.
It's very difficult. And, you know, if you have it yourself, it's difficult because you suffer with the pain. But I think it's almost harder to watch the one you love.
Makes you nauseous, makes you black out at certain points.
It just affected your personal life, your family life.
Actually having all kinds of symptoms like numbness, tingling, not being able to sleep.
Deal with it. Lock yourself in a black room and just used to take as much medication as you can.
You know, the pills and that type of thing just don't seem to work.
The first upper cervical adjustment I had was quite an experience.
Met a man, corrected a vertebrae in my spine, and absolutely changed my life.
I had a herniated disc in my neck. They wanted to operate on it. They told me I'd be paralyzed for life. And after the first adjustment, realized that I was actually going to get well.
Told my son, who is an upper cervical doctor, show me.
It's definitely given my life back. You know, free of pain, and I can eat. I can go about normal living now.
One adjustment, no pain. Sometimes son teaches father.
Not many other pains. That's maybe a toothache.
But I regained sight in an eye that I never thought I'd ever have. And it's a miracle.
Pretty cool stories. And we're going to reinforce that with some more references here from some other upper cervical chiropractors who have published their research and experiences treating people with various chronic health problems. This is one of fibromyalgia. This is an article about 60 patients going under chiropractic care who experience vertigo. This is another research article about chronic migraine headaches, summarizing an additional 100 headaches. This is another article about 81 patients with multiple sclerosis and Parkinson's disease going under upper cervical chiropractic, 50 hypertension patients, 47 cases of asthma, trigeminal neuralgia, Meniere's disease, which is a form of vertigo, and an additional appendix of 291 out of 300 patients with Meniere's. All responded positively with upper cervical chiropractic care. What's really cool about this is every single one of them got better with no additional uses of medications. Many different health problems were mentioned here. One treatment was given. Now, I want to clarify that. Not one adjustment, but only one form of treatment. Many of these people received many upper cervical adjustments, but it was the only thing that they were doing to help them resolve their issue. All helped with upper cervical care. How is this possible? The answer is really quite simple. Your body is intelligent and designed to heal itself. It is designed to heal itself through the use of your immune system. Your immune system is the primary intelligence of the human body. Your immune system has many systems set in place to make sure that you stay healthy and get well. It knows where all the cells in your body are. It knows where all the organs are. It knows which cells are supposed to be where. It knows what bacteria are good for you and which ones aren't. It recognizes viruses and gets rid of them. It notices if there's toxin or poison in your body and causes you to either spread the poison out to dilute it, or it causes you to vomit to get rid of the poison that's in your stomach. Now, these are all things that are good functions of your immune system. It even kills cancer. It knows when cancer cells are in your body and it destroys them. The body is also intelligent, designed to heal itself in ways it grows new cells. Your body is constantly in a state of growth and repair. All the cells in your body have a lifespan. Blood cells live 120 days, heart cells live 90 days, bone cells and lung cells live 7 years. So after 7 years, you have a completely new body. And the goal of this is to make sure that all those new cells grow back and replace themselves with healthy ones and not sick ones. Now, how does your body do this? How does your immune system do this? How does your body know what's going on? It does it through the coordination of your nervous system. So basically, through the coordination of every organ, tissue, and cell of your body by your nerve system. So what kind of care is going to be able to establish this and make sure that my innate intelligence is communicating with all parts of my body? Well, there's two types of care that people get under. There's three types of care, but we're going to only talk about two. That's relief care and wellness care. The third care is emergency care. But emergency care is for emergencies. We don't go to the emergency room to get better. So people are usually taking these two different types of approaches. Now let's talk about relief care first. Relief care, first thing we think of when we talk about relief care, most people say it's quick. We want something now, which is nice. But unfortunately, the downside of relief care, or something that usually responds quickly, is that it's temporary. The reason it's temporary is because we're not really addressing the cause. Relief care focuses on that symptom. And the problem with focusing on symptoms is that, of course, it's temporary, but it ends up costing us a lot of money. Even if it's a small amount, if you're using relief care as a way to manage your how you feel, you could be taking this type of medication or treatment indefinitely for the rest of your life. And of course, we all know that even with relief care, whether it's Advil or medications or other sorts, we've all saw the ads and the commercials on TV where it lists the myriads of possible and potential side effects. So even though the results provide relief, the long-term effects can be very detrimental to our health, and of course that can add to the cost of your health care. So what is wellness care then on the flip side, and how does that work? Well, wellness care is the opposite of relief care. It doesn't usually happen fast. It takes time. But the benefit of wellness care is that it's longer lasting. The reason it's longer lasting is because we're getting to the root of the problem. A lot of times the cause of a disease is not where you feel the symptom. In fact, it's someplace else, some other dysfunction in the body that's causing the problem. But once we get to that root and we are able to restore function, not just cover up the problem, but restore function, then the body's able to heal again. And of course, this is not going to cost you as much because there's not any side effects, at least negative ones. We're all for the positive side effects, right? So the difference is relief care, this one hides and this one heals. Which one do you want? I would choose the one that heals. Let's delve into what is wellness care a little bit more. Things that are natural and a necessity for the body, vital needs, things that the body requires. Of course, the number one necessity for the body is oxygen. Second one would be water. Third one would be food. Fourth one would be rest, making sure we're getting adequate sleep. 90% of all growth and repair occur when we are sleeping. The fifth one is attitude. And the sixth one, which is not on here, is exercise, making sure you are moving your body. Body in motion stays in motion. It's a law of physics. So how does upper cervical care a vital part of your body's innate intelligence? Upper cervical care is important because that is the point of your spine that is at the top of the head, and it can interfere with the function of your nerve system. Now, your nerve system is so important because it animates, brings life and function to all the cells, tissues, and organs of your body. Your body can only perform to the level of its ability to communicate. So what is the number one contributing factor towards halting your body's ability to heal and compromising the communication of your innate intelligence? It is an injury to the upper cervical spine. The upper cervical spine is so unique and so special that they even have their own names. This top two bones in your neck, the top one, which is called the atlas, and the one right below it is called the axis. All the other vertebrae in your spine are just called vertebra 1, 2, 3, 4. No, nothing special. But the atlas and axis are right at the base of the skull, right where your brainstem and your spinal cord come together. Now, your brainstem is the area of the body that regulates all of the autonomic functions in your body, including your immune system. So if there's an injury in this area, even the slightest one can cause dysfunction in the body. Now, I know, I don't know how many of you remember the old Superman, Christopher Reeves. Many of you, some of you do, some of you don't. But he had an accident where he fractured that top bone in his neck. Those of you who remember know that he lost all function in his body. He needed life support. He needed machines to help him circulate blood, to breathe. He even needed food intravenously put into his body to keep him alive. Now, think of this on a much smaller scale, just a tiny, tiny injury in the upper cervical spine, how that could complicate the communication between the brain and the body and not allow it to function the way it's supposed to. Before we can understand how the nervous system causes dysfunction, we need to know how it is supposed to function normally. So we use that with an illustration of a safety pin. Now, the top of the safety pin represents your brain. The little part coming down from the brain are called the nerves that communicate to the parts of your body, sending messages, telling the body what to do. The little curly Q at the bottom represents different parts and organs and tissues and cells of the body. And this one's got a little stomach overlaying it to represent the brain communicating to the stomach. And then, of course, there are nerves communicating from the body to the brain to tell the brain what is going on. Function, two-way communication, health, and healing. So we're going to give the safety pin a name. This safety pin is called James. James likes to eat food like we all do. So when James eats food, the stomach sends a message to the brain and says, hey, there's some food in here. What do? The brain will in turn send a message back down to the stomach telling it to produce stomach acid. But only the proper amount of stomach acid will do. So the stomach acid is being produced by representation of these orange dots. Not one more, not one less. The perfect amount of stomach acid to break down that food. And when the food moves on to the rest of the digestive tract, the stomach will then send another message to the brain saying the food is gone. What do we do now? The brain then will send a message to the stomach saying neutralize the stomach acid and wait. So that's what it does. This is an example of function. And when things are functioning the way they're supposed to, you have health. Now, what happens if your safety pin opens? We have abnormal nerve system function. You have an open safety pin. How does your safety pin open? Your safety pin opens when you have an injury at the top of the spine, like we had mentioned earlier, and creates a disconnect. Well, now instead of two-way communication, we have this kind of fuzzy communication. I don't know if any of you have ever had a bad cell phone signal and you're trying to give someone directions on where to go. It is very, very frustrating. In fact, it may take a very, very long time to get anywhere. So in this case, James may have had a fall, much like I did when he was a young boy. He's at a baseball game and he's eating some food, and the brain and the body are trying to do their thing, but there's some miscommunication going on. And the brain is telling the stomach to produce way more stomach acid than is necessary. And James notices a difference. He started to feel this burning sensation in his throat and noticing, wow, that doesn't feel good. I think something is wrong. He's starting to experience his first symptom of this dysfunction. So what does James do? He thinks back to when he was watching the television, because that's where all of us get our medical advice, right? The magical black box, the television or the internet. And I remember seeing a commercial of a guy having heartburn, and he's feeling that pain. And what does he notice? The TV telling him, Tums, Prilosec, and or how do you spell relief, right? Rolaids, Rolaids. So he's like, all right, that's what I'm going to do. So he starts taking some Tums. And how does James feel after he's taken these Tums? He feels relief, doesn't he? So what kind of care is James getting? And is this kind of care doing anything for his safety pin? Yeah, it's not doing anything for his safety pin. He may feel relief, but then he's noticing that stomach acid is still causing a problem. He needs to take more Tums, more Prilosec. He's taking it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, for snack, before meals. A buddy of his starts noticing how much he's taking these Tums, and he's saying, hey, buddy, you need to go talk to a real doctor, not the TV, and figure out what's going on. So he does. Typical male, right? Wait till things get really bad before we do anything about it. So he goes to the doctor, and he tells the doctor his symptoms, and the doctor says he has acid reflux. So he has a diagnosis now of acid reflux. Great. Something's going to be done about this. So he tells him to take Nexium, the purple pill, right? So now that he's got purple pill in his stomach, how does he feel? Yeah, he feels pretty good. He's got relief. And again, what is the purple pill doing for his safety pin? Not much. James notices that over time, the purple pill is no longer being effective. So his primary care physician sends him to a specialist. Now the specialist puts a little camera down his throat and into his stomach, starts taking some pictures. And they notice that his stomach is full of stomach acid and things are just not looking good. The specialist gives him another diagnosis of chronic gastritis. Now, he tells James, this is pretty serious. We're going to put you on a special diet of bland foods, and make sure you do this until you are not experiencing any more symptoms. And so he does this for a while, and how does he feel? Yeah, after a while, it starts to feel pretty good. But in fact, once he started eating normal food again, things started going bad again. So the body is still functioning at a normal level. Another thing the specialist said is if we don't get this taken care of, we may have to do surgery. So James is not very happy about the surgery. He runs into his buddy Jim. And Jim had asthma. Jim was a client of mine, and he was coming in to get under care. And he was telling James about his story. He's like, yeah, I went to this Upper Cervical Chiropractor, and after a while, my asthma started to improve. James is like, yeah, that sounds great, but how is that going to help my stomach? Because he really doesn't know, he really doesn't get it yet, that the stomach is just a symptom of dysfunction or a problem someplace else. He tells Jim, thanks, good for you, but I'm going to move on and keep trying some other stuff. This is when James and a lot of people start experiencing this discouragement and what I call the spiral of despair. Because first the television didn't work, your primary care doc wasn't able to help, the specialist wasn't even able to help. And so we start going down this path, try herbs, B12, CoQ10, maybe some guy tells you to try some shark fin cartilage, some, this drink and that drink, which are all very good things. I'm a big fan of all these things, but what happens is a lot of people will experience a lot of failure and start going down this spiral of despair. So what does James need to do? He needs to get his safety pin closed, doesn't he? It's the only thing at this point that makes sense. He recalls a conversation that he had with Jim and decides to go see the upper cervical doctor. And the first thing they do is a nerve system assessment. During this nerve system assessment, they discover that James does, in fact, have an open safety pin and that his body is not communicating properly with the rest of his body. So the next thing is we take some upper cervical x-rays to try to figure out, starting point, of how to close the safety pin, how to reverse that injury so that he can have proper communication again. They perform a specific upper cervical correction. The upper cervical injury is reversed. Proper communication is restored. Normal functions return. Now the healing can actually start to begin. The body gets reacquainted with the brain, and it can start going to work. How long will it take at this point, do you think, for James to be symptom-free? Well, depends on if his safety pin stays closed, for one. If the safety pin keeps popping open, do you think healing will continue to occur? Maybe at small amounts at a time. But the key is to keep it closed. Now, if I'm the best chiropractor in the world and I can do one adjustment, and that adjustment is so amazing that it causes that safety pin to stay closed, how long will it take? Well, let's say 1 month goes by. How does James feel at this point? If you notice, the stomach acid is starting to disappear. He may not feel any difference whatsoever. A little more stomach acid is starting to disappear. The lining in the stomach walls are starting to heal. Cells are starting to replace themselves with healthy ones. Maybe he's starting to notice that the Prilosec is actually having an effect and starting to work and give him a little bit of relief. Maybe 3-4 months later, James is feeling pretty well to the point where now the Tums, it will actually give him some relief. 5 months down the road, how does James feel? Symptom-free, completely symptom-free. Now, not to say that 5 months is the way it's going to work for everyone. Everyone is different. So does James discontinue care at this point? I would say no, because at this point, because we don't, again, as we mentioned, we don't want to use symptoms as necessarily an indicator that everything is functioning the way it's supposed to. So he continues to get checked just to make sure that his safety pin is staying closed. And eventually Jim gets to a point where we're like this. Now at this point, a lot of people are very thrilled at their progress and they want to continue care. And what we do is we put people on a maintenance program at this juncture to make sure that throughout their lifetime, James maybe still wants to go snowboarding. Things are going to happen to us. So we still want to make sure that our safety pin does not reopen. How long will it take to get completely well? That depends on how old you are, the severity of the injury, and how consistent you are with care. Now, a lot of people at this point, that makes a lot of sense. What do I do now? What's my first step? Now, the first step is to come in for a nervous system assessment, and that is free. It takes about 30 minutes, and we're going to find out if your safety pin is open or not, and see if you're a good candidate for care. If this is something that you're interested in, make sure you give me a call, and we can talk about what's going on with you. We'll do the nervous system assessment and see if this is a right fit. At that point, if you are, you can decide if you want your safety pin to be closed or if you want to keep it open. Again, just want to remind you of, just think about the stories of those people in the beginning. A lot of them were feeling pretty hopeless, pretty amazing things. And we're looking forward to seeing amazing things happen for you as well. God bless, and have a great day.